Hi guys, I'm Diansu. I'm about to suffer a fate worse than death. But that's an aside. If you enjoy this video, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications whenever I upload new content. Anyways, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Minecraft is a game with many mods, yet sadly, many of these mods are relegated to the back pages of CurseForge, and as a mod maker myself, it's a tragedy seeing quality mods get lost to time.
Please join me in Lux's modding server. We need activity and a coder, please.
But that's an aside. So I've decided to showcase some underrated mods for your information and or entertainment. So without further deliberation, let's begin. The Deadly End Phantom mod presents the Spectre. A dreadful relative of the Phantom, these beasts will spawn in the skies of the end, and while they may seem like wet flying napkins, they actually deal twice the amount of damage as their overworld counterparts. However, they can be countered by invisibility, making traversing end cities a bit less nightmarish. Personality is a simple, albeit helpful mod by MC Abnormals that changes up animations and movement. Currently, it allows you to sit by clicking Z, crawl by clicking C, and finally gives a sensical animation to climbing. Pyromancer is a mod that expands on piglins, magic, and the generally warm to infernally hot regions of Minecraft. Starting off with the mace, this is the in-between weapon of the sword and the axe, and of course it does have its own set of interesting enchantments, including Sturdiness, which deals extra damage to armored enemies, Rush, which gives you more damage if you're faster than your opponent, Two-handed, which gives the ability to stun along with extra damage as long as your offhand is free, and Breakthrough, which disables shields no matter what hand it is in. The Blazing Journal is a refined alternative to the offhand shield that enchants your chosen weapon. However, with great refinement comes great cost. For you see, in order to use a Blazing Journal, what you must do is enchant it. Since the mod itself handily explains its own enchants, I won't be diving down into them. However, for the sake of example, I'll be using Infernal Harvest, which makes any attack made by the hoe into a fiery AoE attack. After enchanting, put the Blazing Journal into a Pyromancer's table, with some blaze powder to charge it, and if you want, a quill can be used to change its effect. Again, for the sake of example, I'll be using Nomad's Quill, which replenishes hunger on attack. Finally, place the Blazing Journal in the offhand, a corresponding quill in the main, and be ready to raise hell. You may notice that when you kill a wither, not only will it drop another star, but also a peculiar object known as a core shard, the broken down remnants of the nether reactor core of old. This item is key to starting a piglin invasion. Currently, it is work in progress, being somewhat off kilter. However, if you still want to do this, what you must do is create a nether reactor core structure, with a beacon in the center, and then right-click the beacon with the core shard. Following this, the invasion will commence, with raiders spawning in every 15 seconds or so, and ends upon the player's death. No good invasion is complete without an intense soundtrack to back it, and as a rare drop from these invasions, you may occasionally acquire the Pigstep Metal Remix by Prism guitar. Here's a sample for those curious. Pyrowood is a new variety of tree found within the deserts, the mesas, and in a strange stalactite life form on the ceilings of the nether wastes. Interestingly enough, pyrowood deteriorates in water, and this does not make for good boat material. I learned that the hard way. The Fire Link is a unique sword that can be used to teleport to campfires. In order to do this, you must right-click on a campfire with a Fire Link. Following the blast of sparks, you must wait for the sword to cool down, and then, when needed to, sneak right-click with the Fire Link to get sent back to the campfire. Deep within the sands of the desert, you'll find the enigmatic pits housing an unburned sapling, and as long as the sapling is left undisturbed, all shall be well. However, if fed magma cream, the sapling will turn into an unburned, a 3-staged boss mob that can serve quite a challenge to an unprepared player. To start off, there is the rooted stage, where it mainly moves by teleporting around and dealing damage by throwing charcoal projectiles that give withering. If you whittle its health bar down, it will become charred, capable of walking around, creating a poisonous aura around it and trapping you with its roots. Finally, if you manage to beat the charge stage or just splash the previous 2 stages with a bucket of water, you'll get the Armless Unburned, which can only melee you. However, it's best that his attacks do not go underestimated because they can occasionally send you into low Earth orbit. Upon death, the Unburned will drop its own sapling, along with a smoldering twig quill that can cause attacks made by the Blazing Journal to summon roots. Along with that, if you download the special collector's edition of Pyromancer, you'll get an unburned body pillow. Bettas is a small mod by Team Draco that adds beta fish into the game, and as a small note to my viewers who are thinking of putting beta fish in an unfiltered jar, don't. But that's an aside. Betas are somewhat rare residents of the swamp biome, and with 100 pattern variations, there's surely to be a beta for everyone. However, I do not recommend keeping betas in school, since first of all, they're all illiterate, but also because as soon as betas are bucketed, they will turn hostile to all other betas, with them even fighting to the death if they aren't reclaimed. If you want to heal your fish, you can feed them a bottle of black water created by drying leaves in a furnace and then crafting that leaf mix with a bottle of water. As a small side note, balls of moss will spawn at the bottom of swamps, which can be compacted into blocks of moss balls. Whisperwoods is a mod for Minecraft 1.16 that expands upon the forests of Minecraft. The twist, you might ask? The entire mod has a theme of horror, making the overworld a scarier place. The Hide Behind is an unsettling dweller of the woodlands that, while mostly inert by day, will show their true colors or lack thereof by stalking unaware players and causing them to disappear by nightfall. By definition, not looking at a hide behind means not having a first-person view of it. Now, if you do look at a hide behind, keep track of it, since they have the ability to become partially invisible when looked at. And for a good measure, try to take them down, since they can only attack players that aren't aware of them, making them quite vulnerable to more savvy players. Wisps are small, aimless spirits of the forest, resembling little flames, and while alone they're alright. However, in large groups, their threat level will ascend from singular firecracker to gender reveal party, with them being able to rip the soul from your body and burn it for fuel, causing instantaneous death. The sustainability of human souls aside, if you manage to kill a wisp, it will release its stolen souls, along with possibly dropping a soul light, a wisp-like light block that can be put into a lantern and then on display. Small diminutive insects, moths are residents of the forest that are mostly ambient. However, they do pose somewhat of a minor threat to the player, for you see, swarms of moths are capable of destroying torches due to their habit of swarming all forms of light sources, even including ones that harm them. If you want to protect your moths, what you can do is bottle them, which displays not only their species name, Luna, Sphinx, etc., but also their size, which can vary from barely over a pixel to nearly a block. The Zotspire is a grim inhabitant of the caves below jungles and forests. Now, whether or not the Zotspire is the reason why we had to spend a year indoors is something the world is better off not knowing. What is better off knowing is how the Zotspire attacks the player, which is by latching onto the player until you or the Zotspire dies. With the forest as his domain, the Hirschgeist is not to be messed with. He has about 3 attacks: a ram attack where he charges the player, a fire spew attack similar to Dragon's Breath, and a summon wisp attack where it summons special wisps that use projectiles to attack the player. If you manage to kill the fiery lord of the forest, he will drop his skull that makes wisps indifferent to the player. The Hand of Fate is a seemingly inert item that can hold onto ghost lights. Apparently can also summon wisps in the Hirschgeist, yet I can't actually make it summon them. Decorative Blocks is a relatively simple mod that, in spite of being downloaded over 4 million times, seems to be chronically underused, with it having chains, thatch, bonfires, lattices, and all those other little things you see in Minecraft dungeons that make you lose your mind since they are in the base game. The show's gotta come to an end, so if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. This is your host Diansu, out.